Every 28 years, a major war breaks out, and every single time, energy prices explode. 1914, 1942, 1970, 1998, 2026. What do all these have in common? It's always 28 years apart. If you had known and had positioned in the right stocks during the calm before the storm, you could have made life-changing money. I'm going to show you the full pattern. Wars, energy, profit. How Iran is just a pebble in the ocean. And then I'm going to reveal how I figured it out. So stay tuned. 1914. A man gets shot in Sarajevo. Apparently pretty high up. You can tell by his mustache. Anyway, within weeks, every major European country is at war with each other. Now, think what a war of that scale actually needs. Trucks, ships, tanks, aircraft. Every one of them ran on oil. Before the war, oil was 81 cents a barrel. Nobody cared about it. It was just a thing in the ground. By 1918, $2 a barrel. By 1920, $3 a barrel. That's nearly 4 times the price in 6 years. The people who own the big oil companies, Standard Oil, which later became ExxonMobil, and Chevron, pocketed a few pennies. Crude oil became Demichi, your medicine. Add 28 years. 1942 is the bloodiest single year in human history. Every continent, every major power. Now, here's something they don't teach you in school. The US froze oil prices during the war, so you couldn't make money directly on oil in the 1940s the way you could in 1914. So where could you make money? Stocks. The Dow Jones gained 87% from the lowest point of the war through to when it ended. 3 years. If you just stayed invested in American companies during the darkest period of the war, when everyone else was panicking, you nearly doubled your money. And then, something else happened in 1942 that would change everything for the next 80 years. The Manhattan Project started. United States decided to build a nuclear bomb. And if you wanted to get in on it, you couldn't. There was no public market for uranium in 1942. Add 28 years. In 1970, Nixon secretly ordered US forces to invade Cambodia. When that leaked, the country exploded. The biggest anti-war movement in American history. But while everyone else was looking at the protests, something happened to US oil production. America hit peak oil. They produced more oil in 1970 than they had ever produced before, or would ever again. And from that point on, it started importing more than it produced. That is what made the 1973 oil embargo possible. OPEC cuts off oil supply in 1973, so America couldn't just pump more of its own. It was already at its limit. Oil went from $3 a barrel in 1970 to $35 a barrel by 1980. That's more than 10 times the price in 10 years. Add 28 years. 1998, Kosovo is at war. The United States is firing missiles at Iraq. And then, India tests nuclear weapons. 2 weeks later, Pakistan tests its own. 2 nuclear-armed countries openly escalating. Uranium sitting at $10 to a pound. Nobody was watching uranium. Everybody was watching the dot-com boom. Tech stocks were going insane. Uranium fell further, all the way to $8 a pound in 2001. It looked like the worst investment you could make. And then, it went to $140 a pound in 2007. From $8 to $140, that's more than 1,500% move. Add 28 years. February 2026, the United States and Israel strike Iranian nuclear facilities right on time. Now, let's think about what this means, not as a news story, but as an investor watching a pattern that has played out 4 times before. Iran has uranium reserves. Its nuclear program has been a taboo-like obsession for Israel for 20 years, even though they have their own. Ukraine has already cut Europe off from Russian gas. And here's a new thing: artificial intelligence. AI needs an enormous amount of electricity to run. Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Meta, and the list goes on. They've all committed to building nuclear power stations specifically to power their data centers. China has committed to over 100 nuclear reactors. Nuclear is no longer just a weapon or a power station. It's now the fuel that will run the electricity for the next 20 years. Uranium is currently at $86 a pound, moving up 23% in the past year alone. But here's the thing: based on every single previous interval in this cycle, the big move doesn't happen during the war. It happens around 6 years after. The war activated in February, which means the harvest window based on 112 years of evidence opens around 2032. You are inside the positioning window right now. I want to show you how I figured this all out. Quick thing before I do. I've built a complete investment framework around the AI boom, bust, boom cycle. It's a private briefing for those who finally wish to understand how the AI infrastructure will be built, in a sequence. That's very important for timing, and which bottleneck companies AI needs to survive on. It's linked down below, so if you find value in what I'm about to tell you, then go there next. There's a tiny planet called Saturn. It takes approximately 29 to 30 years to do its thing. When Saturn moves through Aries, it activates wars. Look at when Saturn was in Aries against these wars. Why does this matter? I'll tell you why. 2 completely separate systems, one mathematical, one astrological, pointing at the same window across 112 years of evidence. I didn't design this, and I can't ignore this when I'm deciding where to put my money. Just remember one thing though: the energy price doesn't move during the war, it moves after it. Within a decade, the consequence arrives, and by then, most investors have missed the entry. The full framework, what to own, in what order, and what timing through to 2035 is still waiting for you.